You know what, everybody? I facilitate quite a lot of these days, and yet every single time I still get nervous. Like, you know how when you get nervous, like you feel it in your body, like how your hands might shake a little bit, or like I feel like I can't breathe right to the bottom, like a sort of electrical sensation it feels like in my body when I'm sitting here nervous in front of all of you, all you people. And yeah, I mean, does anyone else get this feeling, like this physical feeling of nervousness sometimes? Yeah. Yeah, it helps me a lot to know that, you know, that I'm not alone. Like I'm not alone with that kind of feeling. And then I also, you know, I'm thinking about what you're thinking. Like what you're thinking about. What on earth is she doing right now? Like, I thought this was supposed to be a workshop and now it's turned into performance art. I enjoy performance art. So, I mean, I could sit here and I can think of all these things that I think that you're thinking about me in my head, in your head, maybe. And honestly, some of the things that I think that you're thinking, they're not very nice, so I really don't appreciate it. But in any case, you know, I'm actually quite busy right now. I have things to focus on. I have a lot on my plate. I mean, I don't really have time, you know, to be thinking about you. Some of you, I can see you're there, but you know, you can see how busy I am. I don't have the time to think about you. And some of you, I think, are behind me. I mean, you're not even in my vision, so why should I care? Why should I care about you? Why should I care about any of this? Why should I care about any of you? Darkness. Gentle the light. The button.
Love has never been a popular movement, and no one's ever wanted really to be free. The world is held together, really it is held together, by the love and the passion of very few people. Otherwise, of course, you can despair. Walk down the street of any city, any afternoon, and look around you. What you got to remember is what you're looking at is also you. Everyone you're looking at is also you. You could be that person. You could be that monster. You could be that cop. And you have to decide in yourself not to be.
It's happened to everybody who's tried to live. You know, you go through your life for a long time, you think that no one has ever suffered the way I've suffered. You know, my God, my God. And then you realize, you read something, you hear something, and you realize that your suffering does not isolate you. That your suffering is your bridge. Mm-hmm. That many people have suffered before you. Many people are suffering around you, and always will. And all you can do is bring, hopefully, a little light into that suffering. Enough light so the person who is suffering can begin to comprehend his suffering and begin to live with it and begin to change it, to change his situation. Mm-hmm. We don't change anything. All we can do is invest people with the morale to change it for themselves.
Lights. Thank you. I love that video. I just wanted an excuse to share it. Because I think it really brings a point about how difficult it can be to find the time to care when you are very, very busy, when you are planning a whole event, and then can you remember to care about the people? Can you remember to care about different people who you don't even see? Who you don't even see, how can you understand them? And how does any of this relate to what you're doing with, oh, look, I just want to plan my event, I have enough on my plate already without thinking about all of this. Sometimes I think we don't see each other enough. Now let's make that literal. In a second, I'm going to invite you to stand up and push chairs under the table, and so that there's the space, chairs around the edge, chairs under the table. And to take a little walk around the room. And as you walk around, no, not in order, don't all like walk in a column, but like merge around the room. Go round and make eye contact with each person that you pass. Stand up, move chairs. Honestly, I hadn't counted and that worked out perfectly. Excellent. That is now your group for the session. Welcome to your teammates. And what are we going to do? Well, I mean, we are... That's because of them. You are going to be running an event, of course.
Love has never been
You don't need to hear that.
a popular movement.
You will be running an event. You will be running, of course, is the Italian version. You are running Europa Cantat. Yes, you are. This is inspiration for anyone who feels like running it in 2027. And in that event, yeah, I mean, there is a lot involved in it. I just put up the website there so that you can see. And I invite you to take however many minutes I put on my schedule, 10 minutes, to think about what you could do in this event to make it more inclusive. If you want to make notes, there is paper and pencils there, but you are not obliged to. Broad question, go, 10 minutes. Okay, everybody, time is up. I invite you to take a seat. It doesn't matter, as long as you're happy where you are.
You just talk for a while.
So, how was it? Does anyone have a reaction to what you have just been doing?
We are very good organization committee.
Good teammates.
All the problems were solved before everything was implemented, and all the problems that was given to us, they were like solved beforehand.
We'll follow the process that has already been written. All good. Anyone else?
I feel that it is needed, and that's why I'm feeling mostly during the whole exercise, that it is really needed.
Yeah, fantastic.
And it's what you said is the same for our group, or for most of it, that we already kind of talked about it before the problem came up, and that is a good sign to say that, hey, it's already, the awareness is now already much bigger than it was, 10 years ago, of how much people need to be included and how many different groups need to be involved on different levels. Yes.
Good. So maybe we can go through the situations a bit then. Your first situation was somebody writing in about their mobility issues and asking if the event would be accessible to them. What did you do?
Answer that it is accessible.
You just say it is.
We lie, in other words.
Right?
It is possible to do it accessible, and we can manage it. We are super organizers.
Okay. Do you think that the person will be reassured by receiving an email that says, yes?
Slightly different wording.
Might.
So much for telling us before coming here, because that means that we can take action to make this as easy as possible for you. There are some of our venues that do not have a ramp. For instance, this beautiful church, but if you are comfortable with being lifted in your wheelchair, that will be easy. There is no handicap toilet inside that church, and give as much information as possible. You should know that in the center of the old city there are cobblestones, and be aware of that. And we would love to have a little talk with you. If you give us your phone number and a time where we make statements.
That's all right.
Copy of it.
In other words,
Everyone noting that?
Can you write it and send an image?
Someone in our group pointed out that we, from this message, don't know exactly what the mobility issue is. So check back, saying, what kind of wheelchair do you have? Is it an electric one that you can't just carry upstairs? Is it one that is possible? Is it maybe also just some tremors or some other mobility thing that's the problem, not necessarily a wheelchair?
And also ask about the best solution. Maybe the person who has a problem has some good examples from the past. How we can help in the best way, best possible way.
Yeah. Sonia, I saw that. Has it been said now?
In my ideal world, actually, the question would have been in the participation form.
yeah.
Do you have any accessibility issues so I can prepare for it without having to put that person in a situation that it actually has to ask? And from experience, where I had this in a cobblestone city, to assign a team member to take care of these people when they're there, because my other experience was that you answer yes, and then you stand in front of the entrance that is supposed to be for the disabled people, and it's summer holidays and the guy who is supposed to open the door is not there. So that's two things that I think I've learned we should do in future. Ask in advance, because then you might discover it from people who never write to you, but then come and have a problem and have a person that has this as a task. Doesn't have to be a full-time person, but somebody who says, this is my task.
Yeah, yeah.
So actually, I think even better than just hoping that the person will ask is that we have the information on our webpage, because maybe somebody doesn't have the courage to ask, for example, but they can check, because when we talk about accessibility, there's also like young mothers want to have accessibility to go with the strollers, so they also need the ramps and they also need this information.
Yeah.
For example, and the other thought I had was that, for example, when talking about Tallinn, in Estonia we have it's like a society of people with special needs, and they can actually consult you with different topics to find solutions, because they also know the local situation.
Fantastic. You see, this is why I didn't bother talking to you and at you about all these things. Look what comes out of the group. It's brilliant. Let's move on to situation 2. So you have just published a program. Someone posts on social media criticizing the event for a lack of diversity among atelier leaders. What did you do?
But our group already had very inclusive program. We had gender balance, we had age balance, we had geographical balance. We tried to cover everything, genre balance. But of course, the first step would be to reach out personally to the person criticized, and that's what is the concern.
Agreed?
Yeah, I think we also were like, we need, we were embarrassed that this question was raised, because already in our minds it was like, yes, of course that needs to be considered. So if you did not consider that, that's bad. And so it depends on the time of the criticism is what we came up with. If the program is published a year before the event, then you can still make changes. There is the possibility to adapt and get it done. If it's published like 5 days before the event, you cannot make those changes anymore. So you either have to fess up and say, we are very sorry and we apologize and you are right, we did not think of it enough, or explain what your motivations were and why you chose the people that you chose.
Yeah, to show that there is a transparent way of choosing the person in charge or speaker or leaders of atelier, even if it is open or if it is not, for the, to sign up. To be just safe, to show that okay, I done my best to do it, but because of that, it is looking like it is. So probably we'll take care in the future. And look, in the previous edition we had the balanced gender, but now we have what we have because of that very important factors. So.
Yeah, really important. Transparency and also seeking clarity on what the issue is. Sonia, I saw
I would provoke this other people saying, what if they tell you think you have a diverse program, actually around diversity aspect you did not consider, which might be, they say your socioeconomic diversity is not big enough, or your ethnic diversity is not big enough, even if you think you made a diverse program. So how do you react to that?
And can I just ask whose phone that is?
It's somebody who went out.
Oh no! We can hope.
And somebody who loved the old
They have their big phone in the pocket.
Thank you so much for taking care of that. We're good for now.
Yes. It is something that we also reflected on, that lack of diversity. What do you mean? First of all, thank he or she for collecting and giving us feedback. Could you tell us a little more and then use the first name of he or she in our answer on that social media? Ask them to send us their phone number and a time where we can call it and try to pull it out of there and not asking them to call us, because we can place the ball in their hands, so to speak, that we are willing to do the trouble of calling you instead of if they think there's too few one-legged vegan atelier conductors. I mean,
Very specific. Does anyone have anything to add on that one? Or do you think it's mostly covered? Yeah?
I just think that the important part is appreciating their engagement, like that they're being vocal about it, like showing our support that they care about this is important, either like in any way that they have something to say or add to a conversation, to show that we hear them and that we want to.
Great. Yeah, super. All right, last one. During the event, a trans woman approaches one of your team members and tells them that they have been harassed by someone at the event. What did you do?
We used a suggestion that came up in the workshop yesterday around gender diversity of maybe having someone on the team who was the participant care liaison or something, some title like that, so that you have someone who can talk to this person, give them space to kind of address how they feel and what's worrying them, and then maybe take it on board to check in with them regularly through the rest of the event to make sure that it doesn't happen again, and also perhaps identifying who they felt harassed by and maybe you need to be speaking to them.
Actually, I felt that it must be a tricky question because question itself was discriminating for me. Because it is not relevant whether it's trans woman or whoever who turns to you and says and reports about harassment, because harassment is not okay and it is not relevant was it trans woman or someone else. So I think it was kind of a tricky question because this question is discriminating for me. But I think it was the idea. I mean to turn attention.
Even, for example, we assumed it was sexual harassment, and it only occurred to me later that it might have been harassment because of the fact that she was a trans woman, and then again, of course, it makes sense to say it was a trans woman, but I also realized that we automatically assumed we were talking about sexual harassment even though the word did not appear on the paper.
I thought that might happen.
Yes, we didn't. We assumed that it was verbal because the person was a trans woman and someone had an issue.
Maybe we could do something to prevent it, like, I don't know, make a statement on the website that our event has like 0 tolerance for sexual or mental abuse, and then you could state that this event is free to attend for, I don't know, trans or the whole bunch of LGBTQ, and like maybe for people with mental disabilities, mobility disabilities, so that people who have barriers or walls, they could like beforehand know that this might trigger me, maybe I'm not going there. Or like if I have those walls, maybe it's better for me not to attend. So we could preventively to inform people beforehand.
Do something proactive
to everyone.
Yeah.
That music is what we share, but not.
Lovely. Tamara, did I see you?
Yes, I just wanted to this is a good point that you're in the same group. And I mentioned that I was in Tampere in Finland in June in the festival, and it was a choral festival. Many participants, many concerts, and in every program, of every concert, there was last page about that. And I don't think I can say it here, but about how every seat in every concert hall is for every person, disregarding any differences, and something like that. A rather big text about that.
I see a hand over there.
To the group that was that I talked about it to the group, but we also talked about how there it can be a part of the policy of the festival and the organization, and also that if you attend this event, then you agree to these, well, not terms, but at least like saying that we reserve the right to remove you from the venue if someone does anything that is offending or doesn't align with these values that we have, because then they have agreed, and they're informed, and also that in Tampere they had this part where they also said like we have this zero tolerance for what I described.
Very good.
I still think that if people sign something, it doesn't mean it won't happen. So I think we need a combination of both. Also, you make actually a bit exclusive if you say people who have inner walls should not attend the festival. So maybe I would more like to be educational to try to break down some walls. But I think you also need a protocol or some information for people on what do I do if this happens to me.
Yes, exactly.
If I am harassed for any kind of reason, where can I turn to talk about that and to have the procedures? And we also talk in our book about the difference between when it happens within your event, where it's actually easier to have a procedure, or maybe outside the event where it may also be connected to cultural issues, and maybe my solution will have to be a different one to inform the person who was harassed that some things are different in this country, and even if I would want to change the whole country, I will not be able to do that during the event. So maybe I can give them some recommendations on how to avoid getting in this situation, which is not for life the right recommendation, but if I'm in a specific place at a specific time, maybe that's the recommendation for this specific time, because I cannot change the society of this country because in the week I'm there. So we said we have to differentiate a bit of where does it come from, and then our recommendation or our path would be a different one.
We also discussed that like when we have big events, often there is like ambulance who can help when you have like physical problems, but maybe we should have also like on-site mental health specialists to whom to turn when we need some help in relation to the concrete situation. So the victim could also feel that they are listened to and cared for.
We have some perspective. We said that that's my perspective because I know it from experience, but it is like agreement in our group that there is one more perspective for the man who did something bad. And it is not only about to say that it is bad and give the solution to the one who is who suffer, but also about to educate and use this situation because you are not your mistake. You made a mistake, and you can now solve it. But please do it and accept our policy. And it is so-called. We have a Polish saying. That's not the saying. It is the whole movement. Positive discipline. So it is positive, but discipline.
Excellent.
And so there is a different perspective to not only take care about the one who is suffering, but that man do it because of something, and we can use the situation to educate and to make a good input for the future, maybe.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really good point. Yeah. Anyone else? Okay, that was your 3 situations. I hope that this has been an interesting challenge for you, and that you have plenty to feed into your thoughts the next time you're planning an event, for instance, Europa Cantat 2027. And thank you so much for joining and for sharing.